Hey everybody, Vader Saber 1984, also known as that drunk guy and his bullshit opinion, coming to you with another Mount Rushmore of wrestling. However, this time it's going to be on the negative side. This one is a collaboration of me getting with my boys and being like, all right, man, I have a lot that are shit. You got to give me some too. So many that we went through, so many names, and I might get to the point where I mention them. But shout out to O'Neil DMC giving me his. Shout out to my tag team partner of the UBW, the one and only motherfucking Punisher himself, the MFP. So before we get into this, in ordinary fashion, grab yourself a smoke, grab yourself a drink or two, grab onto your butts, your balls, your boobs, whatever the hell you got, because we're going to piss off some people today. And here we go. All right. Now, in this order of my Mount Rushmore, this isn't a least to worst per se, but definitely, oh God, I just hate them all. Some of the names that I wanted to put on here who are not on this Mount Rushmore are Conan, uh, Disco Inferno, let's see, Giant Rodriguez, Reese Hogan. Um, I could just go and go and go of just shitty wrestlers. Loki, I could really go on some of the just bad of bad. But this is my Mount Rushmore of worst and why I think so. So, most of these guys are going to be ex wrestlers, but let's go ahead and get one of the biggest names out of the way. Bill Goldberg. Now, he was really big in the 90s. Somehow went through the power plant and got on there and started creating a winning streak. And, even in his very early days, he was trying to do a couple different moves. He was trying to do, rolling knee bars and ankle locks and hip tosses and things like that. And overall, over time, from 3 weeks of having so many matches, 13 wins undefeated, which I don't know how you get that out of 3 weeks because you're only on TV once a week, but they have house shows. Suppose everybody. And then, let's say 13 weeks later, he's at 300. Now, I'm going to steal a little bit of Joe Rogan from back in the day. One of these things doesn't add up. How the fuck do you come up with that number? Anywho, Goldberg, you destroyed more WrestleMania moments. You destroyed more pay-per-views and ended or injured more people in the long run than you ever had good matches. I am a stickler for people that hates repetitive moves and repetitiveness. You say the same thing over and over, like Shawn Michaels, yeah, Kevin Nash, I hate that shit. When you say the same thing, do the same thing all the time. A lot of wrestlers have their go-to. They do their spots, boom, that's part of wrestling. I get that. But when you only have 3 moves in Goldberg's area, you only have 2, and that's it. I spear, I jackhammer, I win. And when you try to go to WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar and y'all just stare at each other for 16 minutes and bump each other and shoulder tackle for 16 minutes, it's not fucking good. It's terrible. You know, you couldn't wrestle your way out of a nutsack, except for when you came out of your dad's balls and were born. So, quite frankly, Goldberg, you suck. You played for the Falcons or whatever you did, and yeah, sorry. Goldberg, yeah, you had some good power moves in the 90s, but you had no persona other than power, and you couldn't sell a lick. You gotta be able to sell, but all you did was, ugh. Really? Somebody punches me in the head full blast, I'm gonna do more than, I'm gonna go, oh. Or I'm gonna stumble back and take a bump. You, however, did not. That's why you are number one. Goldberg sucks. Moving on to number two. No edits, no cuts. Fuck that shit. Number two. Another would say be a football player. And his name is just one of those people that brings a cringe to my soul. Not because what he does outside of the ring, just the fact that he's just crap. And me being a Sting fan, and that's his best friend, that's his business partner, he may be a good human being, I don't care, but he is a shitty fucking wrestler. The same thing, none other than the total package, Lex Luger. How you gonna call yourself the total package when you got none, grape smuggler? Just saying. You know, Norman Smiley should have been the total package, him or Vincent, because they carried some hogs. Not to be gay, but funny segment. Lex Luger only had two things. Back in the day, you know, he'd do a little pile driver. You know, every now and again, he might do a power slam or a bench press body drop. Okay. But other than that, it was just clothesline after clothesline, clothesline after clothesline, and then the torture rack, which is a great fucking move. And he looked good doing it, other than he's hopping up and down. I'm sorry. Have you ever had a piggyback ride? Hopping up and down only hurts your nuts. If my ribs are on your shoulders and you're hopping up and down in a fireman's carry, that's just going to hurt my ribs. You gotta crank that shit. Like your whole little thing was, oh, I'm doing this. No, you never did that. You did the chicken wing. Lex Luger was terrible. I'm sorry. Maybe one of the greatest bodies ever to be in wrestling, but terrible wrestler. Now, before I get to the next two, let's go ahead and take a break for our sponsor, which is not paying me, but Miller High Life, the champagne of beer. And not to steal from Stone Cold, but take a break for the hard-working man. And me, being that drunk guy in his bullshit opinion, need a little bit more fuel to be the drunken man. All right, so moving on. Now, another one who is a football star, football hero in my eyes, played professional, won a Super Bowl for the team that I adore and love the most, even though they're shit. And those assholes got rid of fucking Justin Fields. And anyways, we're not getting onto that. Steve Mongo McMichael. Oh my God, oh my God. You thought Goldberg was bad. Their match they had was fucking even more horrendous than anything I've ever seen in my life. However, Steve Mongo McMichael came in there because he was the Bears, and they put him in with the greatest faction probably that ever lived, the Four Horsemen. Even though they had some, you know, pretty crappy players from time to time after the original four. But, you know, when your only move is a shoulder tackle, a running shoulder tackle, and the 3-point stands like you're in football, and then maybe a power slam. God, you got to go in that. Like, if I just had a bucket of just shit, drop the names in that bucket of shit wrestlers, there you go. I'm sorry you're in a vegetable state. I'm sorry you look like a zucchini that's been left out in the sun for 4 weeks. I'm sorry that you were on your deathbed. God bless you. You may be a great human, but guess what? You were a shitty wrestler. I don't wish ill upon you. Welcome to the Hall of Fame for the NFL. It took long enough for you to get there, right when you're in your vegetable state. But when it comes to wrestling, you were garbage. Other than that, there you go. Now, for the final, and I'm going to catch a lot of heat out of this. I actually had a conversation with a ex-BCW opponent and brother of mine who I spent many times in the ring with, and still talk about wrestling to this day. The one and only Blake Turner. And that's been a friend of mine for the better part of 21 years. And we had a long conversation as I was watching WrestleMania and blah, blah, blah. And I asked him his Mount Rushmore of his goods. And I put in quotes, and I used this name specifically, my final. I said, don't give me this best sell bullshit. I'm talking about best wrestler of wrestler. And he gave me his. And I gave this name. You can't use him as a best because he's absolutely fucking terrible. And I put the name out there, and he goes, how dare you insinuate I consider him a good wrestler? Are you retarded? Fuck you and fuck him. And I said, all right. Blake is a encyclopedia of wrestling. Jesus, I wish he would have gone into the industry. It would have been amazing. But the fact is, we both agree this is probably the worst of the worst, other than some of the names that I mentioned, and then the others that I have not. Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, probably the worst wrestler that has ever existed, that has ever been on TV. How are you going to pay a guy to run to the ring, looks like $1 million physically, not taking that away from him, can't talk on the mic without losing his breath, and has absolutely nothing intelligent to say or anything entertaining to give other than the same thing like Lex Luger, clothesline, bench press body slam, and a fucking splash? Not even off the top rope, barely from the knee-high drop. Like, I mean, Hulk Hogan's finisher, the leg drop, is like, all right, you chop somebody in the throat, okay, they can't breathe, they can't jump up, okay. But you just, and land on their stomach. I'm sorry. Somebody who only has 3-second to 3-minute matches, much like Goldberg, in my book, is a shitty fucking wrestler. Oh, it's about the power. Oh, my warrior. You know, you're a comic book character, and quite frankly, that's it. Just be in the comics and stay out of the wrestling ring. Now, to speak ill of the dead is wrong, and I will not do that. He may have been a great person, he may have been a good human, but he was a shitty fucking wrestler. Oh, he sold millions of dollars, yada, yada, yada. Oh, okay. May have. But that steroid monkey couldn't wrestle his way out of a fucking brown wet paper bag. I'm sorry, he couldn't. Sting did the best thing in his career was drop that dude. Terrible. So in the last 15 seconds, these are my bullshit opinions. You don't have to like them, or you can comment And you know what? Quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. It's that drunk guy and his bullshit opinion. So let's go ahead and say Goldberg, Lex Luger, Mongo McMichael, and the Ultimate Warrior, aka Jim Hellwig. So, in ordinary fashion, in the great words of DX, that's just 2 tears in a bucket. And if you ain't down with that, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. Cheers, guys. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Give me your Mount Rushmore of terrible, worst wrestlers ever. And we'll go from there and see what I should do next. Cheers.